Your exclusive Finkel forecast says mostly sunny today with highs near 40 degrees and west winds around 5 miles an hour. For tonight, clouds with a slight chance of snow after midnight with lows around 30 degrees. For Sunday, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain and snow in the morning and highs in the 40s. That's your Finkel forecast on AM 1270, FM 103.1, WCBC.
Shop small Saturday at Ristorante Arviani. The tasting room is open for lunch from 12 to 4 with a wine tasting benefiting the Cumberland Theater. Live music by Matt Fields, new art reveal by Jerky Pony, and gift certificates available for the holidays.
WCBC News. Trusted, credible.
One of America's great radio stations, proudly serving the community since 1976. 1270 AM. WCBC Cumberland.
Also at WCBCRadio.com, 9 a.m. Why does Tim Brook Kia have such a high retention rate with customers? Stop in and see for yourself. The following is a special presentation of WCBC Sports. This is Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC and brought to you by the Kensington Assisted Living on Baltimore Street in Cumberland and the Country House, specializing in Alzheimer's care on Cumberland Street in downtown Cumberland. Saturday Morning Quarterback hosts are Rock Cioni and Dr. Jim Zamagias and the WCBC Sports Team with lots of information about the week in sports.
Good morning. It's Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC. So glad you could join us. I hope you can call today. This is our last live show of the season. We're going to pre-record the show for next Saturday because we have state championship games to go to. This is Jim Zamagias along with Rock Cioni, Tony Orndoff, Brad Reed, Adam Sterne, Mike Connelley, and Garrett Eagan. And right now, Mike, let's do that scoreboard, please.
Thanks very much, Jim. Last night on WCBC 1270, Fort Hill 56, Perryville 19. Fort Hill advances to the championship next week in Annapolis to play Patuxent for the state title. Last night on Classic Hits 107, Frankfort 28, Doddridge 7. Frankfort moves on in the state championship to play the winner today of Bluefield and Philip Barber. Also last night, Patuxent 35, Boonesboro 27, Willing Central 43, Pendleton 20. Today on WCBC at noon, it's Allegheny College of Maryland basketball versus Morris. And also today at noon, Division II football playoff, Frostburg State is at Cal University. And also in college football, Miami at Pitt at noon, Texas Tech at WVU at noon. At 3:30, Penn State is at Rutgers. At 7 o'clock, Maryland is at Michigan State. And at 10:30, Notre Dame is at Stanford.
Just a couple quick notes before we do the 2-minute warning. You know, Penn State used to end at Michigan State. Now I see it's Maryland. Of mild interest. I've lost interest once they joined the Big Ten. And so now Maryland's going to Michigan State. So that's kind of interesting. Garrett, I think my writing was poor on that note. What time is your game today?
It's a 1 p.m. tip.
1 p.m. tip, AC versus Morris at the Arc, Jim Brown, Classic, all that Hagerstown stuff.
The Hagerstown hangar, as I like to call it.
It is a hangar.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Used to be the place to go back when we had that rivalry really cooking with Bob Kirk and Jim Brown. All right, Tony will now invoke the 2-minute warning.
We have reached the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
We're coming upon the 2-minute warning.
That'll bring us to the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
Well, hearing Al Michaels is always great, so except when he doesn't get the hook and ladder. All right, so let's go. 2-minute warning. Mike, we'll let you go first.
All right, Jim, let's go right to it. The Fort Hill game plan. Running back, Braylon Younger, just ran him all night. The short kicks on every kickoff was very in favor of Fort Hill. And their team defense, 3 interceptions, 2 return for touchdowns, 1 fumble recovery, and they held Perryville to less than 200 total yards.
All right, Adam.
I'm going to say 2 teams that started out slow, both local teams, and both then dominated. Fort Hill at Greenway Avenue, sounds from the start of the scores. Frankfort over at Falcon Stadium, but they both prevailed in deja vu all over again.
Snowball started rolling. Brad?
Frankfurt's just a 1970s football team. They play defense. They run the ball, they're physical, and they get big chunks in the passing game.
All right, Tony.
The two best teams in our area will play for a state championship next week. That's what we would have said at the beginning of the season, and it is coming to fruition. Frankfort last night met, I think, the best team that it's played in the streak so far.
All right. Better than Herbert Hoover?
I think so.
Okay.
It's certainly a better matchup for Frankfort.
All right, Rock.
I'm going to go a little different direction and wish Carson Bender for Fort Hill, wish him well. I hope the injury, I guess we have our fingers crossed. Some indication maybe it's not as bad as it looked like last night, but I'm going to guess a collarbone. He's not going to be able to play. 3-year starter, and thankfully Carson Bender has another year, because you hate to see him end it on the bench because of that injury.
All right, Garrett.
The Patuxent-Boonesboro score. Off air on our long road trip back from Patuxent, I said that I really wasn't impressed with Patuxent. They were a good team, but I felt like Allegheny the first half really out-physicaled them. And Boonesboro gave them everything. Very close game, and it's going to be a good matchup this week, Fort Hill and Patuxent.
Tony?
Just 5 seconds. It's the worst one we've ever done.
That was 5, not 25.
2 words, Jacob Bone. And we'll talk about Jacob as we go here.
I have him down here in my notes.
In your copious notes.
Copious notes.
All right, that's going to do it for our initial round here. When we come back, the Fort Hill victory over Perryville. Your calls are welcome at 301-722-8255. You're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC.
When the diagnosis is Alzheimer's, the decisions are difficult. Fortunately, there's Country House. Hi, this is Nicole King. Our staff are trained to provide comfort, reassurance, and 24-hour care. 301-777-8717.
Struggling to save for a vehicle? Why wait till tax time? Drive today. Tax time is now at D&D Motors. Shopping for a vehicle and doing your taxes is stressful. Let us help with both. Bring in your most recent pay stub and drive away today regardless of credit score. We'll have your taxes processed for free once you receive your W-2. Your taxes will be done, you'll have money in your pocket, and you'll be behind the wheel. Apply online at dd-motors.com. D&D Motors, Route 220 Bel Air and Route 36 Georges Creek.
Shop small Saturday at Ristorante Ottaviani. The tasting room is open for lunch from 12 to 4 with a wine tasting benefiting the Cumberland Theater. Live music by Matt Fields, new art reveal by Jerky Pony, and gift certificates available for the holidays. Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms, and offer team discounts, too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
House under center and turn and gives it a new back in there. 30 to 25 to 20. Loss of speed and down into the end zone for a Fort Hill touchdown.
Highlight from last night in high school sports here on WCBC. Now back to Saturday morning quarterback.
Welcome back. Garrett and I are just chuckling about cash call amounts and where to find it. It's on Funkin' Wagnall's porch, I believe, is where you find it. Rock Cioni, the voice of high school football on the AM. Tell us what you'd like to say about Fort Hill 56, Perryville 19.
Workmanlike, great. Somebody mentioned a great game plan. Braylon Younger, he just takes charge. He's give me the ball. And they keep running him and running him. You expect him to lay down for a play or two, and he just doesn't do that. And he's picking up all that yardage. So you keep the football. You're always picking up first downs, and he's just a difference maker. If you haven't seen him play, folks out there, it's just remarkable. And I still say he was banged up last night and was still playing his heart out, and good for him.
And you mentioned that each quarter, and here's why Rock said that is he went out early, and when he got to the sideline, he just laid on the ground. So we didn't know if the air had been knocked out or if it was a knee injury. Garrett, you were on the sideline.
They were kind of working on his, I believe it was his right knee, and they were kind of stretching him out on the ground. The training staff did a good job, and then he got up. If if you remember earlier in the season, right at the tail end of the first half was a home game, and he got banged up, and then the second half he came down the steps and just dead sprinted for 50 yards and was fine. I think that last night Braylon was a good example of you don't need to be 100% to play in the game. Kids get banged up. We see it a lot at all levels of football where guys, get injured and they just kind of throw in the towel. He played both sides of the ball very effectively. He was a huge difference maker, and he wasn't at 100%, but for Braylon Younger, 80% is still incredible to watch.
And to that point, I don't know how many carries he's had this year, but he's got to be beat up.
Oh, my.
It has to be. There's no way. Playing both sides of the ball, playing hard every play. So maybe we're just stating the obvious that he has to be banged up.
And Gary, you said Perryville was giving him the business in the second half.
Yeah, it seemed like especially in the third and fourth period where they would kind of tie him up down low. He was just standing there, and even though the officials were blowing the whistle, a couple of guys were coming in and tackling him up high, and then kind of giving him the business down on the ground. There was a lot of talk before the game, more on Perryville, just trying to get in Fort Hill's head. And even with that, at the end of the game, you saw a lot of sportsmanship, especially with a lot of the skill players, kind of giving each other props. And because Fort Hill just dominated them in the second half.
56-19.
They've had so many players, I'm not going to mention names, who have improved dramatically, particularly on defense, since the start of the season.
Mike Connelley, before I come to you, I'd like you to do a little work. Do you have the carries last night?
I do, all of them.
All right. So Braylon had 35. I'd like you to count up how many of those were 3 yards or less, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I have something I want to say about that.
Do you need help with the math? Or are you okay?
I got 2 computers here.
Okay.
One calculator.
Tony, what would you like to chime in with?
Every time I watch Braylon Younger on any of the replays, he just looks like he's a different perspective. He's bigger than everybody else. He's like 1.5 size times everybody else on the field.
One, yeah.
And you just can't get over the size and the size advantage that he has, and the ability for him to enforce his will, on offense and defense.
Well, we ran into that last year. We did the Clear Spring game. And Rock and I and Mike were on the sideline. Brad was on the field, and he ran out of bounds once very close to us, and he's big.
Yeah, he's big and he's mean, at least down on the field.
Yeah, so I like that, 1.5 times bigger than the others. Mike, what do you got?
Your answer, he had 12 carries for less than 3 yards. He carried the ball a total of 35 times for 265, so a third of his carries were less than 3 yards.
Perryville tackled him, I think, better than anybody we've seen all year long. Somebody was always, first person hitting him was trying to get down low and slow him down by just grabbing on and then waiting for everybody to fill in and pursue him. And they did a good job of that, although his yardage is not going to indicate that at all.
And we did the comparison last night to Jim Brown, where he would get up looking all hurt.
Particularly that one play, yeah.
And here's the point I wanted to make. He got stopped for 3 yards or less a dozen times. So it makes me think of Barry Sanders, where you could stop him. If you guys remember watching him on TV, he lost yardage. And then all of a sudden, you'd see his greatness. So remind me a little bit of that.
He is just so elusive in small spaces because Fort Hill's offensive line has done a good job, and I think the line needs a lot of credit as well for how well they have improved. But for Braylon, whenever he gets into that second level, he just makes a little stutter step, a little jab step, a little juke, and guys in the secondary just do not know how to close in on him. I saw numerous times where guys basically hit a knee because he totally juked them out. And then he also has that second level speed where he can just turn on the jets. He's very fun to watch, a great athlete. And Jim, you mentioned it, especially on defense. One thing that should be, and I hope is in his game film, is how he chased down and did not quit and made a huge, probably sprinted 50 yards to make a touchdown-saving tackle on defense. Kid doesn't give up. He's the heart and soul of that team offensively and defensively. And last night, he was the reason why Fort Hill was able to pull away.
That defensive play, I thought, really demonstrated. He doesn't have deceptive speed. You can't say that. But all of a sudden, he just turns on into another gear, and that was a spectacular play. That'll never get any play, but that was something else.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've taken care of it because it caught us. Just to describe, a player for Perryville was racing down the right sideline for a touchdown. Braylon was on the other sideline. He angled over to the far sideline and caught the guy before he could score, and then Perryville did not get a touchdown on that.
No, they didn't.
It was an amazing play, and again, this is in the second half. And again, folks, the beauty of commercial video, click on the video. You can just scroll ahead to the third quarter. It won't take you long to find the play. It was amazing. It really was. Brad?
We go back to last year when Fort Hill played Perryville. That was a close game, and I think Fort Hill was losing at halftime, is my recollection.
Yeah.
And Fort Hill just was more physical in the second half, more dominant. And Garrett, when I was on the field last year, it was very, very chippy too. So I think there's some carryover from last year, but it just sounds like Fort Hill is the more physical team overall.
And for 4 quarters. Yeah, so you can hang with it for a half. You can hang with Frankfort maybe for a half, and then things change. Adam, Fort Hill.
So listening to you guys, reading everything, talking to Scott Rice, a coach at the office, what it sounds like to me is Fort Hill and Frankfort have the same kind of body work. They just go out and do the things. And what it sounds like is they feature Braylon Younger on both sides. And what it sounds like to me is he's feared. When I watched the tapes and I watched him run, there's not a lot of people hitting him or wanting to hit him because I think they're just afraid that they're going to get hurt or knocked out of the game, because when he goes through there, it looks like a bowling ball going down an alley at Virginia Avenue on duck pen night. Everybody's just getting out of the way.
There's an image for you.
The pin setters are jumping out of the way. Like, they don't want anything to do with that ball.
It'd be very tough to be a 150-pound defensive back and come up and have to hit him head on. It would be a
beast. I mean, it's just a beast.
Yeah, I don't recall if that quarterback for Patuxent played defense. But if he does, he's a little kid.
I don't believe he did.
No. Rock, we oohed and awed on that one jump step last night. It kind of caught us audibly. You could hear us go, wow, because he, jumped 20 yards downfield to his right. So all that speed and power and yet elusiveness, it was quite a performance. He had an interception late. He's playing free safety. So if it sounds like we're talking about Braylon Younger, yeah, he needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
It was an amazing performance last night.
Their offensive line, like Garrett said, they've improved as the season goes on. And you say, well, why are they that good? They sustain their blocks. And that's a really underrated thing, in my opinion, that doesn't get talked about enough. It's one thing to make contact and hit somebody. It's another thing to have that desire to continue to move your feet, move your legs, and continue to make good contact with whoever your assignment is.
Jamison Powell-Morris continues his blocks downfield, not a big split end. Garrett, I'm sure he was in front of you a lot. He just keeps blocking, and if you're going to play for Fort Hill, no matter what position, you better block.
Especially the receivers. You know, Fort Hill's not obviously known as a pass-first team, but on the edge, Amon Saunders, Powell Morris, they had several pancake blocks that freed up the edge, and they do a good job of sealing the edge to allow, some of these sweeps or pitches to get a chunk of yards. Also, another player that has really come a long way is House at the quarterback position as well as defense. He had an interception last night. So you kind of see, as the season has went on, everybody's like, oh, no, Fort Hill's not Fort Hill this year. They're not going to be good with the gauntlet of the schedule that they played early in the year. But now you're seeing the fruits of all that labor at the tail end when it matters most. Several players who we haven't mentioned who've just gotten better and better and better.
Well, Chase Lamb would qualify for that. Brad, I pointed this out last night because I have Fort Hill's schedule in front of me when we do every game. They've had only one close game all year, and that was the loss to Hollidaysburg. So if they get in a close one next week with Patuxent, it'll be really interesting to see how they react. I think Patuxent's had several close games, but Fort Hill's 3 losses, only one of them was close, and none of their wins has ended up being close.
Yeah, we've talked about those tiers, as Garrett mentioned. They've dominated the lower tier and the very higher tier with Bridgeport and Dunbar. They've lost. So where have they played a team in their tier? Is there a team in their tier? And what will happen when they do?
Yeah, and Rock, did you say you have a note on Jacob Bone?
Well, I'm not going to give it away yet because it's my number.
Oh, it's your number.
We haven't gotten to that yet, have we?
He couldn't fib and say, oh, yeah, we did that segment.
Man's going to steal my number, too.
Well, I called and reserved my number.
Well, then we'll save Jacob Bone.
Okay.
But he did get a post-game interview.
That was great, Garrett.
Yeah. All right, well, then we'll save Jacob. Any other Fort Hill thoughts?
They're just very, very good. They're relentless, and they're just so disciplined. And, I was thinking last night, they have, I think, 45 kids on their roster. Competition, maybe we don't talk about that enough either. If you're on that team and you're a junior, maybe the first year a chance to play as a senior, if you don't give it out every play, I'm guessing in practice too, there's somebody there going to take your position.
And this will be the first title game to really look forward to for Fort Hill since, 2022? Was that the Quinn Cohen field goal game 3 years ago?
Sounds right.
Because the last two with Mountain Ridge and Northern, come on. You couldn't really look forward to that. I'm looking forward to next week.
Rock, to your point, how would you like to be stuck as a running back behind Daniels for all of these years and only get your opportunity as a senior? And that's who we're talking about
I wonder
now.
how many carries Younger had last year. We don't know. Mike doesn't have that, I'm sure, but in the playoffs he got more, but you're absolutely right. That's a good point.
And he had a big carry against Perryville. So, all right, Fort Hill moves on. They were up only 1 point with 3 seconds to go in the first half. It was 14-13. They scored on the last play of the half, 56-19 for the final. And good luck to Fort Hill next week. We'll be there. And again, next Saturday morning, we'll have our preview of these state championship games. When we come back to Saturday morning quarterback, the Frankfort Falcons are going back to Charleston. You're listening to Saturday morning quarterback on WCBC.
House is going to sneak it with a push from behind. Touchdown, Noah House. Touchdown, Fort Hill.
Hi, this is Nicole King from the Kensington Assisted Living in Cumberland. We offer a comfortable, safe place to call home for those who need a little extra help or want a carefree lifestyle. 301-777-8800.
Let the shopping begin with a Christmas loan from WEPCO. With rates as low as 5.99% APR, you can slay your holiday spending without the stress. Whether it's gifts, travel, or trimming the tree, WEPCO makes it easy to celebrate your way. Apply today and unwrap the joy of flexible holiday financing. WEPCO Federal Credit Union, an equal opportunity lender. APR equals annual percentage rate. Credit subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Rates subject to change without notice.
Now's the time to get enrolled for spring 2026 classes at Allegheny College of Maryland. Current student, don't stop your progress. Meet with your academic advisor and get enrolled in the classes you need to finish the year strong. Haven't applied yet? No worries. Submit your admission application now and meet with their advising center staff to help prepare your pathway. Allegheny College of Maryland is committed to helping you achieve your goals. Enroll now at allegheny.edu.
Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms and offer team discounts too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
And this is going to be Blake Jacobs, the quarterback, taking himself, and he's all the way in. Touchdown, Frankfort Falcons. Touchdown, Blake Jacobs from 18 yards out. He is in the Frostburg State University end zone. Reach your own career goals with a degree from FSU. Wherever you're going, it starts at Frostburg.
This is Saturday Morning Quarterback on 1270 AM, 103.1 FM. Let's check what happened last night in high school sports.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Quarterback. Garrett has done research. Garrett, how many carries did Braylon Younger have last year?
In 2024, 57 carries, 595 yards, and 9 touchdowns last season.
All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Good morning, fellas. One more note on Braylon Younger. He's also the ultimate teammate. I don't know if you noticed last night, but when Jamison Powell Morris was hurt, Younger sprinted off the sideline to help him off the field.
Yes, I did see that. Yes. Yeah, it was really impressive last night. Any other thoughts from last night?
It was cold.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes,
Those guys
it was.
huddled in the bathroom and get out of the cold.
Did you have
Felt
any
bad for 'em.
concerns watching that game last night?
Any concern?
In the first half, were you worried?
Not after the halfway through the third quarter. I felt sorry for the quarterback for Perryville. I mean, you throw 2 pick sixes and then you fumble the football, and all of a sudden it goes from 21 to 35 to 13.
Well, you and I had the same reaction. I said on the air at the 9-10 mark of the third quarter, what a shame for this kid. He's had a great career, 2 pick sixes and then a fumble. And, yeah, I'm with you. And
okay, now I got a question.
All right.
Who's player of the year, Braylon Younger or the kid from Frankfurt?
Well, we are going to discuss that on our final show. And so
well,
we'll
that way
tease
nobody
it.
can call and disagree with you.
Well, you want to go ahead and make your vote now, then you can do that.
Well, I you know, whatever you think, you know it's probably going to be Younger, but if you're looking for most valuable player, I think you have to consider Keontae Bible from Allegheny. If he's not on that team, I don't think they win 3 games.
Well, that's a fair point. It really is.
The kid from Kaiser, the Lamka boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you know what?
Player of the year, I think you almost 2,000 yards rushing in the season. You almost have to go with Younger.
You know, we have a lot of nice stories, but there's 2 top teams and 2 top players when you get down to it. So, hey, thanks for calling in all year.
Hill and everybody else.
You know, we do love hearing from you, so thanks so much for calling.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, we will get into that Wednesday night for the big recording session. All right. Sounds like a music video.
You picking me up?
Yes, I'll pick you up. All right. Just be outside, though. I'm not going to, toot the horn and wait for you to come out.
Got you.
All right. Yeah, Braylon Younger it was a memorable night. It really was. But now we're going to talk about the Frankfurt Falcons. And Tony, it was interesting. You and Brad were texting me scores 14-7 at half. We just kind of harumphed in AM land. And then your team did what Fort Hill did last night.
Yeah, they came on in the second half, but I think they played really well in the first half. They played tremendous defense in the first half. They end up holding Doddridge County to 173 total yards of offense all night, and 100 of that was through the air, and a lot of that was late. Part of it was field position. The paper talked about that, but in the first half, Doddridge County starting field position, they start at their own 8, their own 4 twice, and their own 15.
Whoa.
In the second half, they're in the 20s. The best field position late, they started at their own 38. They were pinned deep the whole time. Some of that was from really good punting. Some of it was from penalties that they committed. A couple of touchbacks from Red Sensabaugh. So the special teams put them in tremendous position defensively. Eli Hesse had a big sack at a key moment. And Braden Tyler, we're mentioning him in terms of player of the year, a 51-yard touchdown reception that kind of broke that everyone relaxed at that point in the stadium, and then a 27-yard fumble return, and that was big. That was the first play of the second half. The quarterback, Bryson Dixon for Doddridge County, was getting a first down and sort of second and third effort, and as a result of that, the ball popped out. It bounced around a little bit. Tyler grabbed it out of the air and ran it back for a touchdown.
Similar to what happened to Fort Hill.
Yeah,
Perryville.
And the defense really just shut them down from there. So they're going. Frankfurt goes back for a chance at another state championship. We talked to Coach Whiteman after the game. He was livid because they had dropped passes, they had committed penalties, and I kept in the post-game interview. I kept trying to bring him back to being happy for having won and he was getting there, but. He was just frustrated because he knows what his guys can do, and they didn't execute. But that's good, too. Frankfurt won a game going away without really playing at their best. Nowhere close.
Last night in the Fort Hill game, when Fort Hill's up 14-10, I got very leery. And I think Perryville had the ball back with a chance to take the lead, and they didn't. It sounds like Doddridge never offensively threatened enough. Brad, you want to talk about that? It sounds like you're kind of waiting for Frankfurt to bust it open at some point.
It was never close, but it was always close, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't have a stat here, but how many times do you think they actually crossed midfield on offense?
It could have been very many, 2 or 3, and it was
Yeah.
late. It really was. They were pinned quite a bit.
Yeah, so how did they get their 7 early then?
A pass play with the first-team quarterback, a seam
They
route.
lost him, right?
They did a seam route. Maybe it was about 30
I think it was 30
yards.
yards exactly, yeah.
So that was the only real offensive power they had. If you're going to give it an analogy, all the other games Frankfurt played, they knocked out the other team. This is the first game they won on points. They just kind of point here, point here. It was unanimous, but they didn't knock this other team out.
Yeah, it took them the full. They took them the full rounds. The second team doesn't get in until the very last drive. That's unusual. The second team defense came in on the very last play. And so yeah, they went the distance with them.
And Coach Whiteman probably should not be happy because I think we counted maybe 21 points that Frankfurt left. They didn't get.
Yeah.
They got the ball twice inside of the 5 and walked away with no points. They had an interception, hit him right in the hands. It's a pick 6. He drops it. So if Frankfurt converts those, adds another 21 points, we're really looking at this totally different.
Now, Frankfurt can kick field goals, so is Kevin doing his Dan Campbell imitation last night? Or
No. I mean, do you think so? I didn't think so.
The coach of the Lions that always goes for it.
No, they didn't go for it. They decided to take the field goal. They had the ball inside the 5 one time. They got a penalty, maybe a lost some yardage, and then they tried a field goal.
It's a false start.
Yeah, and then they missed the field goal. And then the one time they scored a touchdown, had a hold, got moved back, and then...
I think they tried it again. That was a turnover on downs. They tried a 40-yard field goal at one point and a 30-yarder. It was a tough night. I think part of the problem, Braden Tyler dropped a pass. That would have been a touchdown. And I think it was just adjusting to the football being cold and hard and difficult to catch. I think the same thing for the kicking game as well.
Brad, your analogy is great, and for our listeners who are younger, Brad was talking about boxing. So, in case you're trying to, what's that meaning? Would they want on points?
We don't have any younger listeners. I wouldn't worry about it.
That's probably true.
Chris can stop laughing over there.
I think the youngest listener is hiding in the back part of the
producer
studio
over there.
We tried again to block the coffee machine. He won't do it. So. All right, Adam, what do you have?
So what I noticed last night in the Frankfurt game is defense. Both defenses showed up, and they stopped each other's running game for the most part, and that was very impressive to see. Everybody was holding their breath because it was in the second quarter, 7:18 mark, before Frankfurt finally opened it up on a wide-open Braden Tyler pass, because at that point the score is still 0-0 and you just don't know. And nobody is dominating the line. Now Frankfurt did move the ball, and they moved the ball running the game, but they didn't move on 20-yard, 30-yard plays. They were moving at 5 and 6 yards. But Doddridge did the best job that I saw all year of hitting, sticking, and keeping the running backs down. What I thought was more impressive was Frankfurt's defense was hitting their running back, Lyric Blink, for losses in the back, and he had over 1,700 yards coming into the game. I mean, like, his stats were huge compared to, the numbers from Doddridge were better actually than Frankfurt's stats.
What seed was Doddridge?
They were a 5 seed. They had knocked off the 4-seed Independence. 12-0, but a 5. They have been a power in 1A for years and years leading up to this. A couple of final appearances, a couple of semifinal appearances, and trying to build up a little bit of a tougher schedule this year. Got to 12-0. Again, I said this earlier. I think they were the best team Frankfurt has played, but they did not, and this happens too with Frankfurt, they did not do what they planned to do. So they normally ran out of this power I. They didn't really do that much. They got behind, and then they had to run 4 wide, which is not where they were comfortable. Teams tend to get out of their plan when they play Frankfurt in a way that Frankfurt often does not get out of its plan. They opened up with a pass against Herbert Hoover, which was out of character, but normally they do what they do, and other teams are sort of trying to make the adjustment on the other end.
I thought Herbert Hoover's the better team myself, because you talk about matchups. This was a good matchup for Frankfurt because they came in, they want to run the ball, they want to play physical, and Frankfurt says, yeah, we'll do that with you. I thought Frankfurt had a more difficult time matching up with an explosive passing game with Herbert Hoover. So I still think Herbert Hoover was the better team. let's be honest. At any point in time last night, did you think Frankfurt was going to lose?
No.
At any point in time when Frankfurt was playing Herbert Hoover, were we sweating it, thinking, I don't know which way this is
Yeah,
going?
I mean, it was, yeah. So look, because what Doddridge did not have last night that Hoover did is a big strike capability, the ability to hit a big play. They just did not have that. It was not a club in their bag. So once they got down, they kind of were at a loss.
Now we got golf analogies. This is good. We need to work in a couple other sports. Great segment. Go ahead.
So when I interviewed the coach, actually the pre to that, he did talk to me for about almost 10 minutes. He said that they felt that they were the better team than Independence going into that game, and they had that confidence going into that game. What I think part of his problem was, and he said it wasn't a problem, but they're coming from single A, and they just don't have that respect that he said Frankfurt has. He said, this is a powerhouse. He goes, this is great to be able to come into it. He said he just felt like with them moving up in class that I think people kind of wrote them off because a single A to a 2A team, they can't be that good.
You know, man, maybe their schedule had some 1A remnants, because for an unbeaten team to be the 5 seed, that struck me, because, you know, we heard a lot about Independence all year and Bluefield.
Well, we talked about the differential. They only beat Petersburg 21-7.
Yeah.
Williamstown's game was close. The Mingo County was a 34-14. So if you looked at the differentials, Frankfurt clearly outplayed the same common opponents.
Yeah.
But when that came in, all that went away. It was 2 even teams. If you would have switched jerseys in that game, you would have said, yeah, that's still right. They look like 2 even teams.
All right. All right, great summary. And Frankfurt will play the winner of Bluefield and Philip Barber, and they play today.
Yeah. And then
you have a pick there?
I think
West Virginia guys?
I think Bluefield probably wins that game.
Bluefield.
It's at Bluefield. I think
It'll
Philip
be by
Barber's
21.
a little bit. They've achieved more this year, getting as far in the playoffs as they have before.
Frankfurt scrimmage, Philip Barber, at the beginning of the year, we asked the coach about it. He seemed non-committal, as if it ever really happened. So I don't know what that means. Maybe they dominated them, but it was like, yeah, we scrimmaged them.
Yeah. So next week, and that game, the 2A game, is Saturday at noon.
All right, in Charleston. Mike Connelley, let's do that scoreboard, please.
Thanks very much, Jim. Last night, Fort Hill 56, Perryville 19. Fort Hill advances to the state championship to play Patuxent next Saturday. Frankfurt 28, Doddridge 7. They play the winner of today's game between Bluefield and Philip Barber in the state championship next week. Patuxent 35, Boonesboro 27. Wheeling Central 43, Pendleton 20. Today on 1270 WCBC at 1 p.m., Allegheny College of Maryland versus Morris in Hagerstown. And in college football today, Division II football playoffs, Frostburg State is at Cal University.
Rock Cioni, you did some Frostburg State games with Buddy Mullen.
Oh, my gosh.
How many did you do, 1 or 2?
I think I did 1 at home and 1 on the road.
Was the one on the road? You didn't go to Cal U, did you?
No, I went to, what's that school up around Washington, PA?
Washington Jefferson.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nearby. All right, not far away. All right, I thought of you when that came up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, that'll do it for that segment of Saturday Morning Quarterback. Rock and I are always very polite, and we'll be back in just a moment.
He's in. Touchdown, Cole Shanolds. Touchdown, Frankfurt Falcons. Shanolds from 13 yards out. He is in the Frostburg State University end zone.
WCBC, Cumberland.
Your Finkel forecast says mostly sunny today with a high of 36 degrees. For tonight, clouds, maybe a snow flurry, a low of 32. The Canal Place Authority is hosting their second celebration of lights and holiday market today between 2 and 8 p.m. at the Western Maryland Railroad Station. Dee Dee Ritchie, Canal Place Director, says the event will promote local vendors and feature their tree lighting.
We have all kinds of vendors. We're going to light our tree that evening at 6 o'clock. Businesses will be opened. The trains run in. We're hoping for good weather. I have no idea what it's going to be like this weekend, but anybody that can show up, show their support, it'd be greatly appreciated.
For more news, check out our website, WCBCradio.com. I'm Kathy Cornwell in the WCBC Newsroom, always on AM 1270, FM 103.1, and streaming worldwide at WCBCradio.com.
When the diagnosis is Alzheimer's, the decisions are difficult. Fortunately, there's Country House. Hi, this is Nicole King. Our staff are trained to provide comfort, reassurance, and 24-hour care. 301-777-8717.
Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms, and offer team discounts too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
Now back to Saturday morning quarterback here on WCBC.
All right, we're back on Saturday morning quarterback. Let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jim. How are you?
Oh, great.
Hey, it's Levi over from Bellinopoli. It's great being on without having to pay.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do at this joint, but you got through.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hey, a few things. One, I wanted to congratulate you guys. Everyone does a great job covering the games. Garrett and Mike doing the shows on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Everyone does a great job. So I just wanted to say, give you guys your flowers, as Mike Allen would say.
Thank you.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say real quick, too, is I think there are two unsung heroes for the area, maybe.
Okay.
One are the linemen for these running backs. Younger isn't rushing for all these yards. Well, maybe he is. But they're not running for all these yards without a great line. I was a lineman, and their names aren't in the newspaper. So you just like to hear someone give them a little shout-out every now and again.
Agreed.
The linemen on these teams are really doing their job, and, that's give them a little bit of credit there. And then also the stadium pizza makers. I don't know who they are, but we need to give them credit because for years they've been providing one of the most amazing products in the whole area. So I just wanted to give them a shout out too, because without them, I don't know where we'd be as a society, maybe.
Well, we are worried about our society.
Well, that's a different topic.
No, the Fort Hill Band parents and Bill Smith was on with us talking about that, and I believe the Fort Hill pizza formula is tied into the Caparelli family, Rock.
Yeah, that's right. They came up with a recipe. Yeah, it was Gus.
Yeah.
It's the best. As a kid, that was my favorite memory growing up. Going up to that stadium, getting a pizza with my dad, and watching Allegheny as a kid. But it was amazing. So I give them, it's amazing still.
Levi, I do remember a lineman from the 2001 Alco State Champs. I think he wore number 63. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that was a lifetime ago, though.
Levi Lutz on that championship team. Hey, Levi, thanks for calling. Thanks for hosting Garrett's show, and we always love hearing from you.
Yeah, and good luck to Fort Hill and Frankfort. I'm sure Coach Whiteman and Coach Alkire will have them in a position to win, and hopefully they bring home a couple more state championships. So good luck, guys.
All right, thanks, Levi.
Well said, Levi.
All right.
Thank you.
God save the Queen, man.
Much appreciated. And, folks, it's that easy. Just give us a call. All right, let's do our number of the night. Rock?
Two of them, 14 and 10. Number 14 for Fort Hill, the punter, Jacob Bone. Number 10, of course, is Bobby Brower, their place kicker. And I singled those out not just because of the plays that Bone made last night, and that was great that Garrett got an interview with him after the game, but one more indication of the depth of the Fort Hill program, because they're not just specialists. Both of them are excellent athletes, and that showed dramatically when Bone made those two plays last night.
Yeah, the coaching at Fort Hill and Frankfort is just something else. So Jacob Bone is predominantly a soccer player, but he comes in to punt on occasion, which doesn't happen often, and we'll go to the phones here in a moment. And last night, a punt snap went over his head. He recovered it in the end zone, didn't panic. He punted it and got a 22-yarder.
You know what I loved about his interview with Garrett? He said the Fort Hill guys in the end zone or outside the end zone by the helmet were coaching him and telling him, hey, you got plenty of time. Take your time.
Here's a baseball reference. a high fly ball to the outfield. Outfielder goes, and the other outfielder's saying, "Time, you have time," and they yell, wall or fence.
Yeah, and then the other bad snap he got, he went up with one hand.
He did. That was something.
And brought it down and then kicked it. Those were two stunning
And
plays.
Brower's an excellent baseball player, I understand.
Correct. Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Good morning, guys. Another great job.
Thank you.
If I kind of aroused something in me, how about the changes that Fort Hill coaching staff made in the second half, especially on defense? I mean, those two pick sixes, I was listening to you guys. I wasn't watching, so I didn't see the play, but it sounded like an inside draw or an inside screen. And those Fort Hill boys read that to T.
Yeah, one of the first plays, might have been the first play that Perryville ran. The quarterback faked it and then held on. We hadn't seen the play all day, and as Rock described it on the air, Fort Hill stayed home and made the tackle. Yeah, the coaching, and like we said, those two Jacob Bone plays are going to stick out in my mind for a long time. And, yeah, they deserve a lot of credit. They are totally into football, and they totally do a great job. And same with Kevin Whiteman. Heck, I see him at church on Tuesday morning, and I'm having trouble sleeping. I got a lot of football. They're just so into it. And anybody that does their job well, our hats are off to, especially when they're involved with young people. So, caller, I'm with you. Thank you.
Yeah, that was. I thought they made great adjustments and coached those boys very well. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the coaching staff and the same for Frankfurt's coaching staff. But, that I don't know how Coach Whiteman assembled all those guys, but he's got a real team over there. And the same with Coach Alkire. They're clicking.
They are.
It really makes a difference. That's a really good point.
And they deserve everything that's come their way the last couple years. I agree.
Absolutely. They worked for it.
Hey, well, keep listening. We appreciate you calling in today.
Okay, have a good... as always, Garrett Eagan did an outstanding job.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. He did a great job out in the cold. Yes.
The Roy Hobbs of high school football.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. All right, Tony, number.
Thanks, Uncle Bob. I got two numbers. I have 50 and 10. Frankfurt, 50 more rushing touchdowns than their opponents. They rushed 57 touchdowns. They only gave up 7. And they had 10 more interceptions than they gave up touchdowns. They gave up 9 touchdowns offensively through the air, and they had 19 interceptions.
Wow. 19 interceptions.
Wow.
And, yeah, well, that's just something. All right, thanks, Tony. Brad?
9 miles. You know what that is, Rock?
From Greenway to Stuart Gap.
That is right. That is correct.
I think I said 10 last night, but I'll go with 9.
It is exactly 9 miles, and it's amazing that two programs only 9 miles apart.
Did you fly a drone over to measure it? Or?
Let me help you old guys. They have this thing called the interweb, and it's open 24 hours.
What's it called?
It's called the interweb, and you can get all sorts of information off of it, like mileage and things like distance. Yeah. So if you ever have a question,
get real bored,
you don't have to look at that atlas or anything like that anymore, Rock.
But you're right. I mean, it is. If you really stop and think about it.
It's crazy to think that 9 miles apart, two dominant programs, and they say you don't know you're in the good old days. Yeah. We might be in the good old days right now.
Yeah,
that's right. All right, Adam.
Right. Drones were grounded last night due to weather, and there's 2 people here that know that, myself and Garrett. My number's 6, 50, and 3. 6 is the 6 inches shorter, 50 pounds lighter, senior Bryson Dixon. In the third quarter, my number 3 is when he left the game and the third string quarterback actually came into the game, and that's the point that the game was over. And Granny could go to bed.
And you're talking about the quarterback for Doddridge. All right.
It was doomed for Doodridge, but I wanted to make sure it was Doddridge.
All right.
Doodridge? Did someone called it that, right? We won't mention.
Did you get us from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. getting it right all night, Tony?
I was very good last night.
I was sure you
we got
were.
to hear your post game.
You guys were great.
3. It was wonderful. Michael?
I have three numbers. 35, the number of carries for Braylon Younger. 22, the length of the first punt for Jacob Bone, because, as you guys pointed out, if he doesn't get that ball out of the end zone, Perryville could have had either a touchdown or a safety. And then my other one is 2, both Noah House and Ahmad Sanders returning the interceptions for pick 6.
You know, when we started this, you were only allowed one number.
But I'm the stat
I just want to point that out. And somebody here at this table, not here or there.
He had one number today.
I only had one number.
Yeah, but
one.
you set a trend weeks ago. Remember that, fellas? I'm just saying.
No, I can't recall.
Yeah, well, yeah, you do.
Everybody can do as many numbers as they want.
Yeah.
This is no dictatorship.
Vote for
it's not a dictatorship.
It's numbers, not number.
There you go. There you go.
I have 6 more.
You do. Garrett?
27. Last night, Frankfurt won their 27th straight victory. Obviously, with Fort Hill's success, a lot of times other teams are overshadowed, but Frankfurt is right there with them. 27 straight victories and going back to their second straight AA state championship.
All right, my number is 0, and I'll use it twice. Fort Hill amazingly had 0 regular season interceptions. It's just mind-boggling. They're ahead most of these games. Yeah. People pass. I don't know how that happened. Now they're returning everything for touchdowns. And last night, Perryville's vaunted passing attack had 0 completions. 0.
Wow.
So, stunning. All right. Perryville needs to avoid second halves against Fort Hill. All right, we have one segment left. You're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC.
Hi, this is Nicole King from the Kensington Assisted Living in Cumberland. We offer a comfortable, safe place to call home for those who need a little extra help or want a carefree lifestyle. 301-777-8800.
Let the shopping begin with a Christmas loan from WEPCO. With rates as low as 5.99% APR, you can slay your holiday spending without the stress. Whether it's gifts, travel, or trimming the tree, WEPCO makes it easy to celebrate your way. Apply today and unwrap the joy of flexible holiday financing. WEPCO Federal Credit Union, an equal opportunity lender. APR equals annual percentage rate. Credit subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Rates subject to change without notice.
Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms, and offer team discounts too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
Highlight from last night in high school sports here on WCBC. Now back to Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Quarterback, and let's go now to our booth review. Garrett?
Tail end of the first half, Fort Hill had the football at the 2. I think there was 2 or 3 seconds left, and rather than kicking a field goal, Fort Hill elected to go for it. I asked Coach Alkire after the game. The decision-making, and like Fort Hill never forgets. They said it dated back to last year when they didn't get in, same game, same matchup. They got in, and that kind of set the stage for the second half, and it was dominance from there.
Michael?
Fort Hill compensating for the loss of Carson Bender. You know, Neek Taylor, Noah House both scored, and Noah House 4 or 5 in the passing department for 85 yards. Fine night.
And new receiving threat Chase Lamb looked good out there last night. Adam?
So I hope I don't steal your thunder, Brad, but 2 sideline officials yesterday threw a flag on a late hit out of bounds, both on the same side, yet the flag was waved off, and we're just not sure who waved it off. If it's the same sideline in 2 guys, 2 different angles, yet it was picked up, both flags. So,
and it was a personal foul call.
Yes.
So they waved 2 referees threw separate flags on seeing a personal foul, and then the white cap waved it off, and he waved off one flag. And Tony and I were like, well, what happened to the other flag?
We presume it was both.
It was both.
Maybe he was holding both.
That could have been somebody's number, too. All right, Brad, what do you got for your booth review?
We've talked all year long about Fort Hill's schedule and what role would Fort Hill's schedule play in their preparation for the playoffs. I don't think it matters, because as long as they're playing their best football come November, the schedule before doesn't really matter.
All right, Tony.
I think there's winning. There's winning and losing with class. Last night, Doddridge County did that when it was over, and when the second team for Frankfort came in. They came out. They didn't give up. They didn't kneel it out. They just ran the ball into the line. They did not try to throw. Last week, Mingo Central came out in a second half that had been shortened by agreement by the coaches and running clock, 8-minute quarters, and they came out and tried to throw all over the second team defense. They scored, and it was classless. Last night, Doddridge County acquitted themselves much better.
All right, very good. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Good morning. I really enjoy listening to the Monday Morning Quarterback, or Saturday Morning Quarterback. I have one question. Since we have two programs that are dominant and 9 miles apart, why don't they ever play each other?
Well, we would love to see that, and I think it's the difference in the playoff systems. West Virginia, they only take the top 16. So at this point, Coach Whiteman needs to take care of his business, and he's home. And if you have a loss, he's on the road. And, if they had the same system where we make the playoffs, then I just think the way it is.
Yeah, and I would say to the caller, call independence. All right, they had one loss to Princeton, a AAA school, and fell to the 4 seed and ended up playing Doddridge in the quarterfinals and got knocked out. So that's why that is an issue, why Frankfort is more susceptible. A loss could very well hurt them in the playoffs. So, again, I know people want to do the cross-state rivalry, but it does impact Frankfort more.
And you think how big West Virginia is. If you drop down because of one loss, you may be traveling to Hurricane. Is that how you pronounce it? Hurricane. Or Mingo, which is 2 miles from Kentucky.
You can end up. I mean, it makes sense, and I'm inclined to defend Frankfort, having covered them for so long.
Sure,
but it is a shame that we won't see those
we would love
play
it
against each other.
But
it would be a great game, but it doesn't.
Each school has to do what's best for them.
Right. Well, another thing they could think about would be having a pre-scheduled scrimmage.
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes more sense. We've heard people float the idea of like a post-season exhibition game, which I think a preseason scrimmage makes a lot more sense.
Hey, the quad, Tony, if Frankfort played Fort Hill in the quad, I'd actually halfway want to cover that.
Maybe we'd cover it?
I'd love to be up there in 90-degree heat just to please you.
Are both teams going to cover that? Is that what's going to happen there?
We could have a mega cast.
It's going to be competing.
Mega cast at the Quad City scrimmage.
Caller, we would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen in the near future, but maybe down the road.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Rock, booth review.
You mentioned earlier, Noah House, quarterback for Fort Hill. If by chance next week in Annapolis they have to go to a passing attack, I wouldn't be concerned. He is poised. He steps into his throws. He's smart. He's a football kid from a football family. So I really enjoyed watching him play, and I think and being a quarterback and a linebacker is not one of the easiest things in the world to do, and that speaks to his talent.
The Noah House we saw last night is not the one we saw in early September, and that can make a big difference next week. All right, my booth review is Maryland and West Virginia playoffs. They have different systems, but we ended up with the right teams. Frankfort's there, Fort Hill's there. I love Pennsylvania, but they still allow Catholic schools in their playoffs, as does West Virginia, but there's only like 6 Catholic schools in the whole state.
And most of them are actually in 1A. It affects really only 1A.
And Wheeling Central was still in there because they beat Pendleton. But I don't know. Roman Catholic knocked out Hollidaysburg 2 years in a row. Not a big fan. And I never thought I'd say that about Catholic schools and state playoffs, but All right. Hello, caller. Welcome to Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Good morning.
Yes, what would you like to share with us?
So I just want to kind of piggyback off what the other caller was talking about Frankfort not wanting to play Fort Hill. I mean, I understand West Virginia's playoff system, but, Fort Hill had to go on the road for all games last year and was able to still win out and bring home another state championship. But my other point is they have no problem coming across the bridge and playing Mount Ridge and Allegheny. I mean, to me, if you want to be called the best team in the area, you have to beat the best team.
Kevin Whiteman would say he wants to be the best 2A team in West Virginia. So, yeah, it would be nice. I can't blame anybody. The more you think about it, you have to do what's best for your school. For Fort Hill years ago, when everybody didn't make the playoffs, heck, they're scheduling all these terrible teams. Why? So they can make the playoffs. So, caller, thank you, and we appreciate it. All right, that is our last live Saturday morning quarterback. We'll be on next week at 9 a.m. with our preview show. Way to go, Fort Hill. Way to go, Frankfort. Thank you, Chris Myers. For Garrett Eagan, Mike Connelley, Adam Sterne, Brad Reed, Tony Orndoff, and Rock Cioni, this is Jim Zamagias for WCBC Radio Sports.
This has been Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC and by the Kensington Assisted Living on Baltimore Street in downtown Cumberland and the Country House, specializing in Alzheimer's and respite care, located on Cumberland Street in downtown Cumberland. Saturday Morning Quarterback is a production of WCBC Radio Sports. All rights reserved.